6:45 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, while we continue to miss the mark in relation to dealing with issues of school violence, we're going to deal with something very different now, because we're joined by Dale Lutchman, who's the chairman of the Nova Committee, and we also have with us online business strategist Keron Rose to tell us about the event that's called Digimark, hitting the digital mark. And I suspect that they'll be right on the mark in providing us with information. It gets going at the end of the month, June 30th, and is targeting entrepreneurs of micro, small and medium businesses. The objective is to teach Caribbean micro and small businesses the principles and skills of digital marketing to improve and transform their businesses. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks very much for taking the time to be with us. And of course, I mentioned Mr. Lutchman is the chair of the Nova Committee, which is part of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. So, Mr. Lutchman, the event coming up at the end of the month, Thursday, June 30th, Friday, July the 1st. It's a hybrid event, and just tell us essentially what is going to be happening over the 2 days of the Digimark, hitting the digital mark. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Fazeer. Good morning, viewers, and thank you very much for having us this morning. So June 30th and July 1st, we plan to have a very action-packed 2 days, just like we did last year. Of course, last year was the first time we had a virtual edition of our annual MSME conference, and this year we're going a bit hybrid. So for persons who choose to, they can come in person at the TT Chamber in West Moorings at the head office, and then other persons, because of course it's an international conference, they can log in online. And what we intend to deliver from it is the actionable insights about digital transition and how MSMEs can utilize and leverage digital technologies, social media, digital media, and all aspects of it to ensure that they are competitive in this new environment and new economy that they're playing in.
And before I bring Keron Rose into the discussion to give us his perspective, because he is in the business of doing business online, for anyone who would like to sign up for this event, what do they have to do, Dale Lutchman?
So persons can log in TT Chamber, chamber.org.tt/Digimark 2022, and they can register online for themselves. They can choose whether they're existing members of the chamber or prospective members, and they also get to choose if they're attending virtually or in person. Or they can call 637-6966 extension 1308. And we also have some group packages available at that extension once they call.
Right. So, and very quickly, is there a deadline, by the way, for registration?
There's no deadline, but of course, as a hybrid event, the physical capacity is only 50 persons, and I think we're almost there already. Online, we're not going to put a cap on it. Last year, we had over 400 persons log in virtually, so we expect to be hitting those numbers again this year.
And indeed, if we are almost filled as far as live capacity, I'm sure many people will want to take advantage, because there's always a better exchange, I believe, with a live situation. But of course, we're learning more and more about the value of these online platforms. Keron Rose, good to have you with us once again. Tell us about what you see as the value of this particular exercise coming up at the end of the month. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. The value that this conference is going to bring is immense. I definitely believe that coming out of the pandemic, we've seen the value of having to go digital. And this conference is really going to be touching digital from a multitude of different sides. And the goal is really to help Trinidad and Tobago businesses and Caribbean-wide businesses that are logging in from other countries, learning how to do digital better. So we have things from, the advertising aspect, marketing, e-commerce, building your brand. Again, we're just touching digital from so many different sides to help everybody elevate their game.
And as we talk about that, correct me if I'm wrong, Keron, but it seems that maybe younger people, because they've grown up in this environment, take to the digital space a lot easier than dinosaurs like myself, who feel that, don't worry, the old school way of doing it will work. You just have to get a little Facebook, a little Twitter account, and so on. Let the young people deal with that. Let me deal with the nuts and bolts of business. So how is this event going to help this dinosaur move into the 21st century?
So I think that, for anybody who feels a little bit technically challenged or a little bit averse to diving into the technology of digital marketing and, what we got to do to build our businesses online, you're going to leave with a lot of tangible steps to start building your brand, building your website, doing e-commerce. You're going to see what types of opportunities there are available if you were to start going into the realm of, truly understanding digital. And I definitely believe that it can happen because a lot of the mentors and people that I learned from are well into their 50s and 60s doing digital amazingly. So we know that the older generation can definitely do it. We just have to, again, just introduce it across the region and just give people baby steps to get their feet wet and start to understand, how to do it.
So, and if I may jump in there, gentlemen.
Please,
Fazeer, you're quite right? That even apart from the persons who are dinosaurs, as you put it, and maybe afraid to use technology, some persons, they just don't have time for it, right? So they hire someone to do it. One of our sessions is actually an agency workshop where we're going to have some of the heads of the top digital agencies in Trinidad and Tobago talking about what you need to look for and what you need to ask your social media team or your social media practitioner for. So a CEO that doesn't have the time or doesn't understand the technology, that workshop would be perfect for them to really know what questions to ask and to ensure that they're getting a bang for their buck, whether they're paying their nephew to do it or they're paying an agency or some freelancer.
That's a good point, because I mean, I've been following the international media, and I know there's a discussion right now as to really whether or not all this digital advertising and hits and whatever really translates into real revenue, and whether it's all a kind of mamagai kind of thing as well. So sometimes it's about knowing which questions to ask. But before I go back to Keron for his perspective on that, Dale Lachman, tell us about some of the key speakers who will be involved, because I think it's important that we let people understand that, this thing is happening over a couple of days, and the sort of information that will be disseminated over the 2 days.
Correct. So we have keynote speakers in Dr. Terri-Karelle Reid, who, as you know, just published a new book. We also have Keron Rose, the man himself, sitting with me this morning. We have Golda Lee-Bruce. We have agency experts like Douglas Ames, Brent Couté. We have Nicole Duke Westfield, Carla Paris, Sean Rampersad, Dr. Roche Khan from Guyana, Pauline Joseph, Chris Granger, Leah Marville from Barbados, Badawi Assing, Ricola Phillips, Ajala Pilgrim, Samara Maloney, Chike Farrell, Joel Moniquette, Brent Couté, Sarah Inglefield, Bravad Nelson, Ingrid Riley, Kyle Maloney of Tech Beach, Nicholas Huggins, Gregory Moore, Camille Selvon Abrahams, and a few others to be added in the coming days.
Well, it sounds like you call out the national football squad for the next World Cup qualifiers, the amount of names that. But I think what is also important, Keron, as well, is that you're hearing names that many of us are very familiar with in the local environment, because usually with a lot of these events is this big name from outside, who's a super billionaire or whatever, and sometimes there's a difficulty connecting with those individuals and saying, well, you're not really understanding the environment that we live in Trinidad and Tobago and the challenges that we face. How important is it, Keron Rose, to make that connection with your audience and not sound so distant sometimes?
Yeah, I think I'm the perfect person to answer that, because I spent my whole life in Canada, and I've only been in Trinidad for a couple of years, and the disconnect is huge. So when I hear, a lot of US speakers come over, speakers from other parts of the world, I have that context of saying, hey, that would work great in Canada. That would not work great in Trinidad. And it's because I live here and I've been here and I've had to learn the system and how to build my business within the rules and regulations of what we have available to us in Trinidad. It's a lot easier for me now to see, what would work and what won't work. So the fact that we have a lot of Caribbean-wide speakers is key, because we are the ones building our businesses here, building our brands here. So we know how to do it within what we have access to.
Dale Lachman, we live in times which are difficult for many, many different reasons. Economically, it's really challenging, and therefore to be able to get the support from sponsors to promote an event like this, to pull it off as it's coming up towards the end of the month. Just tell us about the sort of support that the Chamber would have been able to get to have this event being planned and apparently being so well supported so early.
Thank you. So we're very grateful for sponsors who are committed and really show their commitment
every single year. A lot of them were with us last year and joined us readily this year because they're really committed to building the MSME framework and supporting MSMEs in Trinidad and Tobago. So for example, Flow Business has an entire business suite that's built out to help MSMEs. Keron Rose, being an ambassador there, actually helps MSMEs utilize the technology that they provide and the facilities and tools that they provide for their business customers with really affordable packages for MSMEs. We have Nedco coming on board, who has a lot of financial as well as support and advice facilities for MSMEs and entrepreneurs now starting up. Of course, IDB has always been a loyal partner to us. Tech Beach is one of our new partners joining us this year. Who position themselves in Caribbean tech, really pioneering the industry and taking their learnings across the region. The National Gas Company, Media Insight, and of course, One Caribbean Media.
Yes, so we are supporting this venture as well, hence our focus on it this morning. And before time runs out on us, very quickly, Keron Rose, before we conclude. Again, because we talked about the economic circumstances, you are convinced that this is value for money, that signing up for this particular event is going to be worth it? Will you put your reputation on the line in this regard?
Well, I will be there. I'm definitely bringing a lot to the table. And I know that the speakers that are going to be hosting their workshops and coming to speak, I know what they're about and I know what they're going to be bringing. So yes, it's definitely worth it. And I would say this, even though we might not have the numbers for Trinidad for 2022, just to give some context, the U.S. e-commerce or the online business state in e-commerce for the U.S. is worth over $476 billion. So it's only been growing, and it's been growing in Trinidad. I don't have the numbers for 2022 for the Caribbean region, but again, it's easy to do business online, better than ever before. And Fazeer, when you think about it, when you want to do business, when you want to, purchase things right now, the first place we're going online. So if your business is not online, if you don't have a website, you don't have e-commerce, we don't know about you to do business with you, it's going to be hard for you to do business moving forward. And we have these tools available. So when you come to the conference, you'll learn all about it.
Indeed. Dinosaurs can be transformed. Keron Rose, the Lakshman, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to be with us. So you just have to go onto the website, chamber.org.tt, or you could call 637-6966, extension 1308. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. As we go to the news at the top of the hour, we have an image that we want to show you, a video.